Welcome back to the Always Thinking Mindset channel, where we give you simple rules to overcome any obstacles that are in your way. If you like today's episode, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It helps out the algorithm. And if you like this channel, go ahead and subscribe. So, in today's episode, what we're going to speak on what it's like to be a lawyer or an attorney. And I can tell you, I'm an attorney, but I'm not your attorney. And just to have a legal disclaimer, do not take anything or what I say into legal advice. Please consult your own attorney. Not that I'm giving legal advice here, but I just want to fill you on what a lawyer does and the expectations. I wish I had somebody tell me this before I became an attorney. So I've done criminal defense, I've done commercial, civil litigation, franchise law, you name it. So as a lawyer, you're there to interpret the law, depending on jurisdictions, the states, federal law, stuff like that. Now, it kind of goes into this whole beam of whether you know something or not. This is the envy I get with doctors. With a doctor, you go and you give your diagnosis. They give you a diagnosis, but you give their symptoms and they can easily classify everything. As a lawyer, you don't know what is what because there's a lot of gray area, right? We have to understand and interpret the law. Sometimes we've never seen any new law and we have to let the courts decide that. That's where we get precedent. But anyways, before I speak in and all that legalese language, let's get started on a few rules, okay? So, if you want to be a lawyer, the first reasoning not to be a lawyer is long and brutal hours, compounds of stress. I want to get this through your head because before I started, I always said, yeah, I want to be an attorney. It seems super easy. You take the LSAT, you get picked in law school, you take the bar, bam, you become licensed. Well, it's not that easy, right? The first step is you actually have to have a college degree, then law school picks you. You don't pick law school. But you got to understand once you get in the practice of being a lawyer, you start to feel the rigorous training, right? Because once you graduate law school, you think, well, everybody thinks that you know every type of law. And the reality is you learn the basics, right? Enough to get you by, but it's not enough. And this is where the long, brutal hours come in. So imagine a job where you're not going to work in a standard 8-hour shift. Your name is on the case. So that means if a judge calls you or anything happens, you're responsible for that case, not your paralegal. You own the license, so you're working long hours, up to 16 hours. Now, to share a few stories from me, I remember when I first started off and I was single before I got married. Yeah, I was trying to learn everything I could, and I would have to stay in the law firm sometimes all day, all weekends, working holidays, working these crazy shifts, not having a social life, right? Because the caseload is so piled up that I'm sure your boss, and he pays you well, he wants you to be there and to finish these cases. Now, it's you never leaving work. Just expect that, right? Because a lot of people think, just like any other job, they're ready to clock out and don't bother me again until the next week or next weekend, I'm out of here. Nope. As an attorney, you are working on the clock, off the clock, on holidays. Good luck on requesting vacations. But at the same time, you work in these long, hard hours. And like for me, I like to explain this to you. And the reason I made this video is to be a little bit more pragmatic, be realistic, right? Because I was never given or taught this about how exactly were the expectations of being an attorney. Now, with that being said, these long and brutal hours leads to stress. It can get overwhelming at times, especially if you're married or if you have small children. And I always tell everybody, are you sure you want to be an attorney? Because in the end, we get this idea that, attorneys are they're interpreting law, they know justice. We see all the sitcoms and the shows, and I can be an attorney myself. But the reality is, it's long, hard hours, right? And you have to deal with not only stressful situations, solving problems, but then you also have office politics on top of coworkers, and it's just a whole mud of stuff. But like I said, let me just say this that a lot of attorneys don't take care of their health. as much as you think, right? And attorneys make a lot of money and never have problems and are in the best health. I didn't write this. Who wrote this? Well, anyways, that's a lie there. But I can tell you that being an attorney, it's one of those things that it's a lot of work. It can be rewarding if you're up for the challenge. If you love challenges, if you love arguing, if you love problem solving, go ahead. But at the same time, understand the result of this because this can weigh on you. This can weigh on your relationships. This can weigh on uh, just everything in general. Now, the second reason is caseload and clients, right? As an attorney, you're getting paid to solve somebody else's problems. With that being said, you will get a large docket. Docket is pretty much caseload of what you have and try to figure it out. Now, when you join a firm or whether you do private practice, usually you build clientele or you kind of consult with the client and make sure everything's okay. But you got to understand these dockets are not your average 10 or 20 caseload. Sometimes they're 150, 200 cases, right? I know some firms that go 500 cases. It depends on where you're at and how much you're getting paid. Now, you got to understand this is piles and piles of stress, right? This is you getting paid for solving somebody else's problem. Now, also, the clients. The clients are one of these things that you have to learn how to juggle. Everybody has different personalities. You got to learn how to speak with people. Whether they're rich, poor, happy, sad, it doesn't matter. In the end, you're their client. You have a fiduciary duty to them. And you have to learn how to work with people. You have to learn how to conversate, just fill them out and help them overcome their problem. Now, caseloads, it's never ending story. Just when you think you finished a case and you're ready to move on and you're happy and it took you 6 months or 3 years or 5 years, because litigation is long and slow. And I repeat, it is long and slow. But once you finish one, guess what? What does hard work lead to more? More hard work. Congratulations, you are a lawyer. You are a ultimate, law fighter. So your bosses are able to see you're highly efficient, highly productive. So congratulations, you're getting more cases. Now, the last rule is pretty much always arguing, right? You're always problem solving. And if you like this, if you like arguing and just being tense about every situation or turning into something, this is your profession. This is your job. I know plenty of attorneys that come with plenty attitudes. Some are very high energetic, some are low energetic, some have attitudes, some are real nice and real laid back. But you got to understand, being a lawyer is very stressful, and you have to learn how to balance and manage that, especially with your own personal life. So just being in that high stress situation, you have to learn how to take on the case, deal with clients, deal with your bosses. And at the same time, you cannot never show what you're going through, right? Because they pay you to solve their problem. You don't go to them, they go to you. And in the end, you are a problem solver. So hurry up and finish the problem. Now, with that being said, every case you get is different, right? It's not cookie cutter mentality where you get to say, hey, this law and this law are kind of the same. Well, no, they're not, right? You have to learn how to interpret that, which ends up being in hours and hours of case law review. So just you having good research abilities will make you a good lawyer, actually, because you have, software out there with like LexisNexis and Westlaw, which they train you in law school, but you actually start incorporating into that once you get out of law school and you start servicing clients, and you'll get the feel for it. But I guess if you love arguing, if you love drama, then this is a job for you. But if you don't like that, you probably have to consult with somebody and say, oh, maybe this career is not for me. But with that being said, I wanted to take time, make this video, because I know there's a lot of people that say, what's it like to be an attorney, right? Uh, Man, you guys make a lot of money, or you seem so nice that you got no stress. Well, they're very good at hiding it, just like anything else, right? The thing with lawyering is that you're always in demand, you're always stressed, and you got to learn how to have hobbies, exercise, just have an outlet, right? Because it will eat you alive. But if you like that profession of having an argument, problem solving, then being a lawyer is exactly what you want to do. Now, with that being said, I have on 5 years. I've done criminal, I've done civil, I've done franchise law, I've done you name it. When you wake up in the morning, you eat your cereal, that's regulated by law, right? FDA steps in, you have to learn how to interpret that. That's the reason I fell in love with it. I fell in love with law because it was just so interesting how everything is surrounded by law. Everything, even from YouTube to the phone, I'm recording on. But I want you to understand that it was so much more bigger, and it's a lot. It's a lot of stress. And I want you to get that in your head before you attempt to apply for law school or think about going down that. It's a long route. So don't try to conserve your money and your time and be really sure what you want to do. And here, I have a book here that describes, and this is an old law book, problems in contract law. So you tell me why they put problems on the book, right? It's for you to solve and to say that you're going to have problems. It doesn't matter. The law is based for interpretation. So you can have two lawyers in the room, argue it out, spar it out. But those are the situations that you have to get ready to deal with. And it's very stressful because at times you have to learn to disagree. The only thing you can do is agree to disagree and let the judge decide. But I also have another book here, and this one's pretty good. This was American Constitutional Law. But do you see how clunky these books are? Yeah, you have to find time in a quiet place, hopefully, to study this material and get it in your brain, because a lot of it, I always say, remembrance only goes a long way, right? Just like when you study for a test, kind of remembering, the answers and questions. No, you cannot do that in law school, because law school is basically logic, reasoning. You have to learn the rules, you have to learn how to apply the rules and get the solution to the problems. Now, like I said, if you think that you can master what I just said and you're for it and you want to go down that long, dark tunnel, go ahead, be an attorney, and God bless you. But at the same time, if you're not in it for the long hours and you don't control your time, you don't control your clients, you don't control caseload, then being an attorney is not for you. I'm not doing this to scare you. I'm doing this to inform you, because I do have a lot of people that request, whether online or in person, hey, what's it like to be an attorney? I'm trying to look into it, or maybe I should do this. And in the end, you have to understand the expectations of what it is to be an attorney. Very stressful, but at the same time, very rewarding. If this is what you get energy from it, by all means, be the attorney. Now, that ends today's episode. Tune in, go ahead and leave your comments. I'm sure you have a lot of comments on lawyers and reasoning and gritty lawyers and all this good stuff. But please leave your comments below. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. It's going to help the algorithm. Now, if you like my channel, go ahead and hit subscribe. And as always, go out and be positive.